Hi, Steve at the SJCUE Fab Lab here, and we have a lot of rubber bands. We're going to use them for bungee cords. We're going to do some science, some computer science, a little bit of engineering, and some math. This is computer science support for the TUSD lesson dealing with bungee cords. It's a 7th grade math lesson. So let's go ahead and get started. So whenever we do these, we always first take a look at the California Computer Science Standards. There are 5 categories of the computer science standards. Computer systems, because everything, all computation occurs on a physical system. We're going to be using something called Pirate. It's a web application, so this will be running on your computer or on the student's computer. There's algorithms and programming, the coding we think of for computer science. Students will be using a program in Pirate. We're going to go over how we can basically use Pirate, but the students don't need to do a ton of coding for this. We also have networks in the internet. Networks are a large part of how we use computers today. I'm using a couple of computers to record this video. You're using one to watch this. So, data and analysis, of course, comes into play in math and engineering, and of course in computer science, because computers are always processing information. And our last computer science category is impacts of computing, because we want the students to make solutions for everybody. All right, now let's look at the standards we're going to cover in this lesson. We have 6-8 DA8, collect data using computational tools and transform the data to make it more useful. Okay, so we're going to use a tool called Google Sheets in order to input our data into a table, and then we're going to use Pirate to grab data from that table and for the students to be able to process it to do this assignment. Let's go ahead and take a look at Pirate and try this out. You can get started Pirate at code.pirate.org. I'm just going to open Editor, and you'll notice, depending on how I stretch this window, we can have buttons kind of shift. They'll shift. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just try something really simple. I'm going to make my window a little bit larger. That should work there. So I'll start by saying print hello world. It is often the first program that programmers will write. So print is our function, and hello world is the argument. It's a string. It's some text being given to that function. Let's see what happens. I hit run. Oh, it doesn't like that. Why doesn't it like it? I'll tell you, because we didn't add parentheses to take in our string as an argument. Okay, notice whenever there's an error, we have some really nice color coding to help us recognize what's going on, and it gives us a warning. So let's try it again. Nice. So we're able to print out hello world. We can also quickly evaluate mathematical calculations. We're going to run that. We want to make sure that there's space between the operands. Okay, let's try something else. I'm going to say print 5 plus space plus 6. And you know what? While I'm at that, I'm going to divide that by 11. Okay, let's see what it says. Oh, just 1. Okay. We can use Pirate like a calculator, and that's really, to an extent, what we're going to be doing. We're going to be writing code to work much like a graphing calculator and process the information that we're going to give it. Okay, let's see what else we can do. Okay, I have stored in a variable named name, my name, Steve, and I'm going to make a function called greet, which is going to take in someone and then print the greeting to that person. Okay. So then I'll say, you know what? Greet name. And see what happens. There we go. So the name, Steve, was stored into our variable named name. And then we had a function, greet, which takes in a variable, which in this case it's called someone, but when we put name into that, it said hello and then added on whatever the argument was. And in the case when we ran it here, it was name or Steve. We could do the same thing in a more mathy way. I could say fun cube, and I'm going to take in value as my variable. And I could say, well, I want it to return value times value times value. And I could say something like cube 2. Oh, 8. We can quickly define programming or just math functions and then use them later. All right. Now, students don't really need to do a bunch of programming for this lesson. We can go straight into using the file given to us by Pirate. I am going to start by making my own file. You'll notice in our lesson there is a link to a file. This is an example, and I want my own. So I'm going to go File, Make a Copy, and that will make a copy in my own Google Drive. That means that I can then share that copy to my students, and they can then edit it or make their own copies. Okay. Depends on if I want the entire class editing one or if I just want each student to work on their own. So I'm going to leave this named copy of Bungee Jump. I suppose I could always say that. Copy made. Okay, I need to put in some data. So let's go ahead and gather data. I will get rid of those because I'm gonna gather 3 examples of data. We've made a little device in order to gather the distance data right here. I'm going to use zip ties for speed, and this will be my weight. So we're using a construction kit called a rigamajig, which we use for early elementary engineering. But you know, we just need something to be able to hang these rubber bands from. Okay, so we've got our item, single rubber band. Let's get a distance. All right, 11.5. So one band, 11.5 centimeters. Okay. $18.5 for 2. All right. Okay, this is going to be pretty quick. We're just going to try a third one, see how it does. And then we'll process that data. Google Sheets, which is the program we're using, is not really very different from the web version of Excel. All right, let's see. Okay, 27. Okay, so we have gathered our data. I'm going to look at our example over here. Let's go through the code bit by bit. First, we're gathering some libraries. They're going to tell Pirate how to deal with some extra stuff, more than just the simple coding. It's kind of expanding the language. So notice it's including the ability to deal with tables and images and Google Sheets. Once it's gathered that extra ability, it's going to load my Google Sheet. So this is the example file. I don't want to process the example file. I want to example or process my example. So I'm going to go to this code up here at the top of the page. Every Google Doc has a unique code which I can reference. I'm going to place my code right here. And one extra thing, I haven't shared it out yet. So it'll error out. So what I need to do is go back here, hit the share button, and allow anyone with a link to be able to view it. Okay. You also want to do that in order to share the document with your students. You can leave it at view only for them to be able to make a copy of it to work with it themselves. If everyone was going to work together, then you'd want to make it so that everyone with the link could edit. Okay, moving on. So I can now read that table. It's now reading what the different columns are. And then right here, it's saying I'm going to take the first sheet in the Google Sheet. Let me show you what I mean. Right here, this is data. We can add more of these, but we don't need to. Okay. At this point, I can just go ahead. Oh, it was that quick. I've gathered the data. It's read it, but now we want to be able to use it. So notice there are comments here explaining what we want to do. Well, here's the code. I can just paste it and hit run. Sorry, I mean, I can paste it and hit return. Okay, there we go. That, oh wow. I can definitely see a line there. Let's try this. Since we've done it with a scatter plot, let's try it with a linear regression plot. I'm gonna hit return. Okay. Okay, looks that is looking pretty linear. All right, we've been able to gather data, to process that data, to make a visualization of the data using Pirate. I hope your students have some fun gathering data and processing it and doing a little bit of computer science. Bye.